The late Brigadier Dan Patrick Archibong was appointed military governor of Cross River State on May 3, 1984. When he resumed duties in the state, he immediately set out to identify and tackle the major problems which confronted the state at the time, namely, the need for unity in the state, reactivation of abandoned projects, environmental pollution, improvement of infrastructure in the state, and the proper management of public enterprises. Impressed by his sterling qualities and the zeal with which the late Brigadier, then Colonel Dan Archibong, set out to develop the state, paramount rulers in the Cross River State pledged their loyalty to him and his administration in the following words.
Military Governor, message of congratulations, support and solidarity from the paramount rulers in Cross River State to Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Patrick Archibong, Military Governor of Cross River State. We, the paramount rulers of this state, have on behalf of the entire citizens of Cross River State of Nigeria come to congratulate you on your recent appointment as the new military governor of Cross River State, and to assure you of our solidarity and unflinching support for the government of the Cross River State in particular, and the federal military government in general. We are particularly happy that you have assumed the mantle of leadership in this state at a time the services of a dynamic young man such as you are very much needed to salvage our state from the present economic strangulation. The activities you have carried out within the few days of your stay in office have been very impressive and commendable. Your recent appeal to us to initiate action for the unification of this state is a manifestation of the recognition you have accorded the traditional rulers and the confidence you have reposed on us as your fathers, as well as the interest you have for the generality of the people of this state. This is a step in the right direction.
At another forum, the paramount rulers unanimously acknowledged the success of the unity campaign pioneered by the late Brigadier Dan Archibong during his tenure as governor of the Cross River State.
Unity which has eluded this state since its creation some 18 years ago should be seriously fought and won. The unity campaign tour of the state by the paramount rulers has helped in no small measure in fostering the unity of this state. I wish therefore to call on different religious bodies, educational institutions, market women, white brigade, cultural organizations, youth clubs, voluntary organizations, etc., etc., to follow the examples.
In order to effectively transform his vision for the state into concrete reality as governor, the late Brigadier Archibong recruited public officers who, in his words, will serve the state with diligence, dedication, and loyalty as state commissioners. His dream for the state was succinctly restated at their swearing-in ceremony.
All the commissioners have been appointed on their merit, and the allocation of ministerial responsibilities, which I have just announced, has been made after careful evaluation. The decisions of the State Executive Council shall be the collective responsibility of all its members. Such a situation, therefore, demands absolute loyalty to this administration from each and every commissioner. I must emphasize at this early stage that such loyalty cannot be compromised. Proposals and suggestions for the formulation and implementation of all our major policies shall be fully or carefully examined and all shades of opinion considered.
Having inaugurated an executive council, the late Archibong then directed his attention to the need to give Calabar, the state capital, a befitting facelift, free from environmental pollution. This was the major assignment he took upon himself to accomplish. The late Dan Archibong was personally involved in clearing the streets of refuse, as demonstrated here. And later, he inaugurated the task force on environmental sanitation in the state for a more thorough result.
State Environmental Sanitation Committee is given power to implement all the environmental regulatory measures as contained in the schedule given to the committee and to take immediate effect. 1. To ensure that all abandoned vehicles, junks and scraps are cleared from all our streets with immediate effect. 2. To see that unauthorized developments by the roadside like kiosks and stores are removed by the owners immediately. 3. To designate and classify streets where street trading is not allowed.
Another major task he set for himself was the rehabilitation and reconstruction of roads within the municipality.
The roads constructed in Calabar municipality are as follows. At Tamono, Mount Zion and Goldie Axis, 5 kilometers, now nearing completion. The housing estate internal roads, 4 kilometers, almost completed. Edeba Road, 1 kilometer, completed. Asphalt overlays have been completed on 2.70 kilometers of urban roads. Work is in progress on Edemebenyon Street and Adazi Lane, and when completed, about 13.05 kilometers of urban roads would have been constructed.
Today, in Calabar municipality, these roads are testimonies of his drive and commitment to the service of the people. It is also worthy to note that before the federal government's policy on privatization received the attention it does today, the late Brigadier Archibong had put the privatization machinery in motion in the then Cross River State in an attempt to bail out some ailing firms and industries in the state.
Those government farms that were not being run profitably have been given out to private organizations to run. The government farm at Obiopa has been given to the Polytechnic Calabar, while the one at Usefort has gone to the University of Cross River State, Unicross, at Uyo. At Ikot Obong in its local government area, the government rice farm has been handed over to Unicross for the construction of a fish pond. The idea is to hand over to the private sector any enterprises that are better run by that sector. The growth of the private sector is of great concern to this administration.
To create an industrial base for the then Cross River State, Governor Archibong established certain key industries in the state and laid the blueprint for the take-off of others. He commissioned the auto park industry in Uyo and the Cross River paint industry at Ikodekan in Atina local government area. and set in motion the machinery for the establishment of the ceramics industry in Itu. The Cross River Cooperative Bank Limited, UYO, Durafirm Limited in Econ, among others. In order to cater for the increasing population of youths in quest for higher education, Governor Dan Archibong gave approval for the establishment of a campus of the University of Cross River State at Ikot Osura in Ikot local government area of Akwa Ibom State. This campus today houses the law school of that university. The problem of erosion and drainage, which affected many areas in Cross River State, were also effectively addressed by the governor, who allotted more than 0.5 million naira for the execution of erosion and drainage project in various parts of the former Cross River State. An astute administrator, the late Brigadier Dan Archibong consulted with individuals, organizations, and other bodies whenever it was necessary to do so. At one such occasion, Brigadier Archibong is here meeting with labor union leaders for consultations.
The aim of this, my informal meeting with you, is really to get you to be briefed adequately about government programs, prospects, and problems, and more importantly, to solicit your support for the various government programs which we are trying to execute. I say it is informal because I haven't any formal address here to give you. What I have done is to list some points which I will take one by one and discuss with you. After I have done that, I will then open it up to you for further discussions and question from members. And then I would want us to finally arrive at what we should do.
In line with his tradition of consulting with all sectors of the state economy, Brigadier Dan Archibong, as governor of the state, also met with the heads of government, parastatals, and department to relate to them his dream for developing the state and solicit for their cooperation.
The management of the company is vested in the board. Major policy decisions must be deliberated and decided at the board meeting, and the execution aspect of that decision rests with the management. The board is also to ensure accountability by making sure that the accounts are audited, balance sheets are provided and submitted to government, to investment trust, to the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, to the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And this must happen from now on. And we expect all the boards to be forthcoming. The boards we have set up so far, we've made sure that they are quite capable of doing what we want them to do. Government will take a look at the other boards with a view to seeing whether we can get them to improve. For the management, like I said, implementation of policies, they have to protect the interest of the investors. They make sure that the investors derive maximum benefit from the investment. I've talked about the need for them to protect the machinery, the structures of their various factories and companies. They should, for instance, keep a schedule of maintenance.
During his tenure, the late Brigadier Dan P. Archibong undertook a statewide tour to enable him have a first-hand knowledge of the problems facing the people of the state, beginning with the CALABAR municipality. Akampa.
From now on, I believe all administrators should be able to have direct access to me as the governor, and they should clear all projects with my office. instead of going through the rambling way of the ministry. As far as project implementation is concerned, all such projects should be directed to me for approval. And I do believe that some further administrators may have to relieve of their appointments before the end of this term.
Odukbangi
Is determined to take this year to ensure that people get themselves employed effectively by the provision of agri loans. We are not going to make the mistakes of the past to pass on these loans to briefcase farmers who just go around the offices with their briefcases and have not got any idea about farming and have not got the farm. They want to make sure this money is channeled through farmers' cooperatives.
Ikam, Obudu, Ogoja.
I want him to continue to lead the people the way he has been doing. This is very good. I'm particularly impressed by the support given to the EBI program, which I'm told has been launched here. And I would like to appeal to our mothers and fathers to please patronize this scheme once all the equipment have been delivered for the benefit of our children. There is also a lot of effect of the sanitation task force in terms of the overall sanitation of Ogoja municipality and a few other areas are visited. The place is very clean and it should be kept up.
And Obura local governments in Cross River State and Atinan, Oron.
Congratulatory message from me and from the government of Cross River State to His Royal Highness Ofon O.U. Aka, matter of non-meritorious appointment as the Hatter II of Oron. It is with pleasure that such a selection without rancor has been performed and so soon, and shows their endearment to the entire people of Oron local government area. Again, my dear sir, congratulations. Yours sincerely, my humble self.
Eket.
And I want to assure you that the mobile oil producing is very determined to make sure that before the end of this year, Eket will be lit up by proper electricity facilities. And this is not a political promise. I told you there's a difference between a military administration
and other local government areas now in Akwa Ibom State. At all of these places, the late Brigadier Dan P. Archibong brought to the people the good news of hope anchored on development. An officer and a gentleman, the late Brigadier Dan Archibong attended to all his military assignments in the state with devotion.
The military governor returns, followed by the service chiefs, the police and the legion.
As a result of his closeness to the people of the state, the late Brigadier Dan P. Archibong had a deep knowledge of the development problems of the entire former Cross River state. He used every opportunity to expound these problems and also the need to surmount them for the general good of the people. One occasion where his composite knowledge of the state and her problems were fully addressed was at this news conference with a team of journalists.
The administration came to inherit arrears of salaries. These are arrears. So you tackle the arrears of salaries. No revenue. Revenue is less than 1 million. Before I came here, now the revenue has risen to 4 million. The expectations were very high for this year. Most of these projects we are mentioning are in the budget of 1986. But like I said, we were expecting the federal government to be giving the state government 16 million naira every month on the budget. Now, we got that for January, and that was the end of it. It started coming down. Now it has got to 6 million. So tell me how you can execute the budget. So we were now envisaging, we have been able to make sure that we tailor our expenditure to about 14 million, 14, 16. But we were comfortable that we will get that 16 million from federal government and perhaps use that 16 million for our own expenses. Whatever we can raise as a state government, the 4 million, we use it for capital development.
Like a lone bright northern star, the late Brigadier Dan Archibong has achieved immortality through his works and programs in the Cross River state. The lives of most, if not all the citizens of Cross River and Akwa Ibom state have been touched in one way or the other by the viable project established by him, by his love to bring into being that which will lessen the difficulties of the common man, and also bring glory to the people of the former Cross River state.
On September 11, 1986, a cross-section of the people of Cross River State assembled at the mini theater CALABAR to say farewell to the former governor of the state, Colonel Dan Archibong, and welcome to Governor Ibim Pringswell. The occasion also afforded the former governor an opportunity to thank the people of the state, traditional rulers, and security agents for the cooperation they gave him during his tenure. The function was organized by the State Council of Chiefs and the people of the state.
We, the traditional rulers and people of the Cross River state, by this medium, wish to express a sincere appreciation to you for the selfless and dedicated service that you have rendered to the state during your tenure of office as the military government. We are confident that even though you are being posted to perform other military duties, your new assignment will place you in a better position to work even harder for the greater good of the people of this state and for all Nigerians.
Later, souvenirs were presented to the former governor, who was at the ceremony with his wife, Mrs. Florence Archibong. The presentation was made on behalf of the people by the Commissioner for Health, Mrs. Elizabeth Ekong. The state branch of the National Council of Women's Societies, through its president, Mrs. Grace Davis, also presented souvenirs to Mrs. Archibong, Colonel Archibong, and Governor Pringswell. In his response, Colonel Archibong thanked the people for the support they gave him during his tenure.
I want to thank the people of Cross River State, particularly the governor, for allowing this reception to take place. I think it will go down in the annals of history as one of the best handing over and taking over that we have ever experienced across the state. And I know that we have been through thick and thin, but as the saying goes, all is well that ends well. I want to thank the public service civil servants for their cooperation, their loyalty, and dedication. Sometimes I had problems with the public servants regarding understanding, particularly the NLSD, and I know that here. Sometimes you ask them to provide some solutions to problems of the state.
His transition is dearly mourned by all men of goodwill who knew him and who have heard of all that he has accomplished, especially for others within his short span of life. All these constitute the milestones through which the name and person of the late Brigadier Dan Archibong has achieved immortality. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Amen.